All right, let's talk about Zach Wilson and yet another what went wrong with the Jets offense video. I know Jets fans are probably tired of hearing what went wrong with their offense. They want to hear what went right with their offense, but until things start going right, these are the kind of videos we're going to have. And again, it's one of those things where it's like Zach Wilson's getting all the blame, and that's what you do, right? You find one person to give the blame to because, for several reasons, it just makes it easier to talk about. And also, certainly, if you're a Jets fan, that's what you hope is kind of the case, is that it's just one player. Rodgers comes in, now all of a sudden, all the issues are fixed. It's not all the case. It's not all on Wilson. There were some plays that were just legitimately not his fault. Something like this, which was, you have Garrett Wilson running a route over the middle. Hey, Garrett Wilson, good player. Let's put the ball in his direction on the second down and 18, get in field goal range right here, and hopefully give ourselves, potential to convert a third down coming up. Watch as Zach Wilson takes the snap. He fires towards Garrett Wilson, and, Wilson is open. Garrett Wilson is open. There's a window to make this throw. And really, this is a beautiful throw that was just dropped by Garrett Wilson, and he knows it. I mean, he's not someone who drops those too many times. So, I'm not saying, the reason why the Jets are bad is because of Garrett Wilson. No, he's usually the guy in the group project doing all the work a lot of times for the Jets, right? But just in this scenario, it didn't happen. So for this specific game, on this specific play, that was a tough drop. And to be honest, going over here, I actually thought Zach Wilson, for the first half, for the most part, played pretty well. I did. Like, something like this, it's man coverage, third down and 7. And, one thing that we've talked about with the Jets is that they've really struggled against man coverage. And they've struggled with this back when Sam Darnold was there. I mean, it feels like they've struggled with this ever since Joe Namath left. That's how it feels. So typically, guys aren't going to get open. Well, what happens on this play? So, Zach Wilson takes the snap. He looks at the receivers who weren't really open. There was maybe an opportunity for Garrett Wilson over the middle. Probably would have liked to see him make that throw, if I'm being honest. So, I would actually say that's a negative on this play from Zach Wilson. Not to say it would have been a first down. I don't know if it would have been a first down. Still would have probably liked to see him make it. But okay, Zach Wilson, go to where you're comfortable. He's most comfortable throwing outside the numbers, it seems. He's looking to throw right here, but still doesn't love what he sees. And so instead, watch him turn and run. And, his running ability is a key part of, his game. He dove for the pylon. Initially, it looked like he was in. Actually, on, review, turns out he stepped out right before he dove. So nearly had the touchdown. Would have been a very exciting touchdown. And then it was just, things got very Jets. They ran the ball in for a touchdown, but there was a holding penalty. They ended up not being able to convert on what seemed to be a really good situation and had to kick a field goal there. So that was very Jets for sure. So, listen, Zach Wilson, he did make some plays in this game, but he also missed some throws. I mean, this one, you're going to see that he's going to throw it down the field. I'm not sure if that's a communication thing or what, but that's way off. Also, this one, another one of those just underneath plays, which again, could be a communication thing, but at the same time, it's like you got to get, that communication down either way. So definitely you're still seeing some missed throws. I mean, again, we know who Zach Wilson is, right? He's not the guy. He's not someone who's going to be a starting quarterback that you feel good about. He's just not. I think, to me, the more interesting discussion that I like to have is, if you replaced Zach Wilson, if you decided to, I think there's two discussions to have, actually. There's first if you went out and got a Josh Dobbs or a Carson Wentz or a Joe Flacco or whatever, if you got someone else and you put them in this situation, are the Jets now, instead of 4-5, are they 5-4? Are they 6-3? Because, if Rodgers does come back in a month or so, you would like to have a chance to make the playoffs. But obviously, if you're, out of the playoff hunt, Rodgers isn't coming back, kind of thing. And then there's the discussion of, if Rodgers gets back, what does that mean? Is this Jets offense still going to stink even if he's there because there's other issues? Well, I think kind of probably yes, but let's get into it with this next play. So this one is a good example of kind of just the situation that the Jets are in right now. So it's Garrett Wilson. Again, he's your guy. Zone coverage, Garrett Wilson running over the middle. He's the guy you're looking at. This is a no-brainer read. It's a route that can win in this coverage, and he's your number one receiver. Okay, well, cool. Let's see what happens. Zach Wilson's going to take the snap. He's going to look over the middle of the field, and right here, there is a window to make this throw. But it's not a huge window, right? And one of these, players for the Raiders over the middle could step in and they could knock the ball away, or they could get an interception. And to be honest, we're seeing something I don't think I don't think I would have ever suspected we would see from Zach Wilson, is we're seeing a timid Zach Wilson. I do think that Zach Wilson, part of why his overall numbers are better this year, is he is not pushing the ball down the field. He is not taking those chances because he doesn't want to turn the ball over. He knows kind of at this point, hey, I got a great defense. Just don't screw it up. If you have to make a play, okay, try and make a play. But for the most part, don't make these types of throws. Instead, Zach Wilson is going to scramble out. He tries to use his legs to pick up yards, picks up a yard, doesn't turn the ball over, but also doesn't get you a first down on the play. And I think that, it's an interesting question. Does Josh Dobbs make that throw? Does Carson Wentz make that throw? Carson Wentz 100% tries to make the throw, but does it work or does it not work? Probably sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And is that better for the Jets or is it worse for the Jets? Partially, maybe why the Jets decided to keep Zach Wilson is they kind of felt like they could control him a little bit more than maybe you could control a new guy that you just bring in. And also, listen, I get that they could have traded for Josh Dobbs, and that would have been cool and fun and everything. At the same time, though, I don't know how many people realized that this was going to happen with Josh Dobbs, what he's doing right now. So maybe a little bit of hindsight being 20/20 there. There's also the question of if Aaron Rodgers is there, is he making those throws? Probably pretty consistently he is going to be able to make that throw, but also not always. There also are going to be times when a defender makes a good play, knocks it away, or even gets an interception. Ideally, you would like these windows to be a little bigger or be open for a little bit longer. And also to talk about the running game, part of why I think we have seen this Jets team struggle a little bit is, so this play, 2nd down and 10 right here, and they're running the ball. Is running the ball on 2nd down and 10 at your own 15 a good play? Well, in a vacuum, no. In a vacuum, you want to ideally be passing this football as many times as possible. Now, there's obviously game theory, right? Of if you never run the ball on 2nd and 10, then the opposing team will know you never run the ball on 2nd and 10, and because of that, they'll be able to just drop back into pass coverage. So you do have to, at certain times, keep them honest. All of that stuff, and plenty of reasons why you could run the ball here. But of course, the Jets are a team where they want to run the ball because they want to have that be their way of moving the ball down the field, right? Because Zach Wilson's not great. Breece Hall is great. You have what should be on paper a good running game. So let's see what happens on this play. Zach Wilson's going to hand the football off, and it's going to go absolutely nowhere. They lose yards on the play. A really good run defense by the Raiders for sure. But this is an issue, is if the Jets can't get a running game going, their offense isn't going to get going. It's just not. So that's another aspect. And so, again, kind of talk about what does we make of it when Aaron Rodgers gets here. You're going to basically be asking Aaron Rodgers to be Superman. And again, if he is going to come back early, he's going to be basically playing on one leg. He's not going to be able to use his non-plant leg hardly at all. He's not going to be able to move around much, and he probably won't have very much power on most of his throws right away. So because of that, and that's just my understanding of how that would work. And now you're expecting him to be Superman. It just feels like a concern for me personally for the Jets offense. I don't know how well it's going to work. Maybe it's still worth a shot if you're in the playoffs. I don't know, depending on what the risk of re-injury are. But at this point, I almost think with the struggling talent around the Jets, I think just have Aaron Rodgers, and unless you go on a winning streak, have Aaron Rodgers sit for the rest of the year. Don't let him come back and risk any, injury. Just, hope that you get a good draft pick next year now that you have your first round pick, and, use it on an offensive weapon. Maybe use some free agency money on offensive linemen and all that stuff. That's what I think. But yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.